forward to. All right. And I'm going to turn on the live captioning. All right, so it is June 3rd of 2021. It is 2:03, and this is the Sustainability Commission Subcommittee on Waste Reduction. And we have Commissioners Miller, McCann, and Clark on the at the meeting, and we have Liz Hernandez from Palm Springs Disposal Services, Tracy Sheldon and Patrick Tallarico from the City of Palm Springs, and we have Haley Preston on the line from the public. So, all right, so we shall get started here. And first thing is, anybody have any changes to the agenda? Any additions, changes? All right. Then do we have any public comments? Haley, any public comments from you?
I'm just here to be a fly on the wall. Last time I was with you all, my Zoom cut out, so I didn't get a chance to really answer any questions and like see you and be with you. So I'm here to just, I noticed community composting was #1 on the agenda. So if I can answer some questions today, great. And I have a hard stop at 2:30, so I'm with you for a little bit.
Great. Yeah, we were just going to provide an update today and see what's next. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into it. We, the city, have been meeting with Haley and her crew on the community composting front. And I have connected them with our facilities folks, Stacy, and Parks and Recreation, Cynthia. And so I'm starting to have them have meetings with Cynthia and with Stacy so that they can discuss the plan for the composting project and community garden project with them, because they are really the I guess the gatekeepers for the location. So it's really important that we get them engaged and involved. Since the last meeting, I think we started to talk about franchise agreement language. And so we're working on some draft language there to make sure that we can allow for community composting in our franchise agreement. And I know that PSDS has been supportive of that. So we're working on the language there. And then Haley and her group is working on refining the kind of the plan, the vision, and have been making good progress on that. And so I think that's going to be a critical piece for moving the project forward, especially with Parks and Rec and that kind of thing. So, anyway, so I think that's kind of where we are at the moment. Again, we'll continue to keep this group posted on the progress there. And Lonnie has been involved in all of that. So she can feel free to add whatever, if I missed anything, Lonnie, if you want to add anything else to that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, there's been so much.
Has been.
Haley, help me out here. I'm still working with my notes. So I don't know if you mentioned this, but two things come right off the top of my head, and that is Haley's gotten together with not only Grace Gardner now, Council Member Gardner, but now the two managers of the Coyote Run apartments. Mm-hmm. So pretty enthusiastic reception. Mm-hmm. And it seems like there have been other people that have come into the picture and are all singing our praises and are very, very excited about it.
Yep, there's definitely a lot of enthusiasm, and I've been getting more questions. And so I keep sending people in Haley's direction as they ask questions. So yeah. And actually I will say this now. I was going to say it during our foodware discussion too, but one of the ways that that conversation has been evolving, and based on some conversations with Burtech, it looks like Burtech is going to be accepting compostable foodware in their composting system. And so we are considering the move towards requiring disposable foodware to be compostable fiber-based foodware, and disallowing any plastic stuff. So that will probably come in the future. It'll probably be a future requirement, not necessarily something right off the bat in January 1 of 2022, but after everybody has service and all that kind of stuff. But it may impact the availability of service to multifamily. So we had originally not included multifamily, but we
Did
are.
we jump ahead in the agenda, or is that?
No. It's I'm coming back to the composting connection. So originally we had said that multifamily would not be getting food and green waste service as part of 1383 rollout, but I think we actually may move in that direction if we basically move in the direction of compostable foodware more broadly in the city. So I wanted to give you that heads up, because that is just basically hot off the presses. So
I have a question.
I don't think
about did you say Burtech?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So then we have an answer to where the restaurant greenhouse or restaurant food waste would be going to. Is that correct? So
I don't actually, that's a good question. And Liz, I don't know if you know the answer to this. I can't remember what they said. So the food waste from the restaurants is currently going to Coachella Valley Compost. And I don't know if, Liz, we would move that to the Edom Hill facility once that is done. I think so. I think they're going to have both streams. So I think they're going to have a mixed stream, and I think they're going to have a food waste stream on their end for commercial.
Yes, and that was that's the idea. Once it's up and running and able to take that, then we'll bring it here.
Right. So, yeah. So.
Do they know that there is a pretty good chance that we're going to move our food waste from depositing it in Burtech so that we can send it directly to our wastewater treatment plant, where it will be digested and turned into biogas, and then that will be dealt with, and we'll probably be making a lot of money in Palm Springs? Do they know that this is a temporary measure on Palm Springs' part, Liz?
Well, I think, I don't know that the city has any specific plan and time frame for that yet, but if we do move in that direction, then we would certainly, I think that would be a least cost option for us in terms of where that material goes. So I think that would be a welcome addition. So, yeah.
Well, according to the report that the engineers did as of a couple of commissioners meetings, the council members meetings ago, it looks like they're planning on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been recommended.
Yep.
And furthermore, there is no loss of any, we have abundant food waste,
Mm-hmm.
more than we have resources to do it with,
Mm-hmm.
to do anything with it.
Right.
And especially in the Coachella Valley. And that's not even talking about quality
Mm-hmm.
mulch or quality compost.
Right.
We don't even have that. So, I think that it's not a matter of will we, but when.
Right.
It's happening. And that's why I have been saying over and over again that we need to start looking at how we can take, now since we're picking up already the restaurant food waste, we're already picking that up. Okay, we can use some other place temporarily, but pretty soon it's going to go right down the street from PSDS.
Mhm.
And it's a very good chance that we're going to be making RNG for the use of PSDS. Is Chris aware of that?
Sure. Yeah, I think Chris has been on board with that. I think that's always been on their radar. So,
Okay.
yep.
Because I haven't heard
I don't
anything
want to get
said
too
in
far.
this
Yeah.
commission about it. Nothing.
Uh-huh.
I've been talking about it for 2.5 years.
Mhm.
And this report is the first time anyone has made that conclusion. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. All right. Anything else on community composting? All right. Okay. So we'll continue to work with Haley and kind of facilitate that process, and we'll keep you guys posted. All right. Okay. The next thing was the park trash can and recycling container efforts. Rob, I don't know if you made it down to Ruth Hardy to take a look at those containers or not.
I'm sorry, I have not.
Okay, no worries. We are actually meeting with, we were supposed to meet with maintenance yesterday, but they got tied up. And so we're going to meet with them next Wednesday to just talk through the plan and talk through some stuff with them. And so we'll put that on, it's on our agenda to talk to them about in terms of kind of implementing the plan that we had developed. So I'll have more on that the next time we talk.
Patrick, is there some official acceptance of our plan? Some like a rubber stamp that yes, the city employees are, backing it or on board with doing it, or?
Right. So that's what I need to talk to them about. So that's
okay.
that's why it's on our agenda to say, hey, here's the strategy. And I think they're open to it, and they've been kind of just doing things as they saw opportunities to do them. But I want to make sure that we're steering them in the right direction. So I don't think we'll get any pushback on it. I just want to make sure that they're doing the right thing in the right way.
And we have, and there's funding for this.
Well, we've got some funding in terms of if we need to buy new containers or need to do some painting. So we've got some money set aside for that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So more on that next meeting. Downtown trash can signage. So we finalized that. We got them printed. And again, we're scheduled to meet with maintenance next week. And we are going to roll those out to the containers to see how we do in terms of whether or not it improves our recycling rates. So so stay tuned for that. As soon as we talk to them, we will roll that out, and Stacy and I will go ahead and put those signs on the containers, and we'll schedule our next trash can audit, because it wouldn't be a trash can audit if it weren't really stinking hot outside. So.
Patrick, how are the signs going to be affixed?
So our plan is to, they are kind of hard laminated. And so we're going to do the little grommets or punches in there in the corners, and then zip tie them. So, so that we can change them out if we need to, et cetera. So that's the plan. So, and if they have results, then we'll work with our maintenance folks to figure out maybe a more permanent option. Maybe we've got something that's a holder that we can put stuff in and that kind of thing. So
great.
Okay. All right. So all right. And let's see, kind of on a related note to that, we had talked last year, I think, about oh, you took my container top, didn't you? We had talked about having recycling containers at Village Fest and things like that. And so we created this sign for people to put their recycling in, that basically we have the cardboard containers right now for trash, and then we were going to make one for recycling. And so we are excited that Village Fest is coming back, so we will have the opportunity to roll those out. And we've got the "do not put those things in there" stickers all ready to go. So so we'll see if that helps us out on the Village Fest and event front. So
great.
yeah. So that is happening. All right, so that's it on the downtown trash front. Disposable foodware and plastics ordinance. So as you guys know, the council approved the draft foodware ordinance, and then they had some questions that we were going to try to clarify. And we discussed some of these at the Sustainability Commission meeting. And I met with the council subcommittee just an hour ago, 18 minutes ago. I wanted to run through some of the feedback that I got from them that is maybe different from what we talked about in the Sustainability Commission. I think most of the things we were kind of on the same page about. One was in terms of the by request, no, not the by request only. By request only is by request only, and they agreed with that. And then clarify or correct the fee disposal. So the fee for disposable foodware and reusables. So in the ordinance, we had included in there a fee for disposable foodware of 25 cents per cup or container up to 50 cents, and then an incentive for reusable foodware. So that was too confusing for folks. And we actually vetted that with a couple of restaurants, and they were like, I don't even know what that is. So, so it was really hard for people to understand. So what I offered to the subcommittee is that what we could do is streamline that the way that Berkeley did and just do a 25-cent cup or container fee, and then a 25-cent incentive for reusables. And that's what I presented at the Sustainability Commission, and that you guys seem to be on board with, and they like that idea as well. Much easier for people to understand, much easier to comprehend. So, so I'm gonna revise the ordinance to basically say that, just like the Berkeley one does. So we still have an incentive and a disincentive program in there, and it's just a little simpler. And so then the other thing was related to that. They did want me to really pursue the idea of getting a reusable cup and container pilot in here into the city. So I'm going to work with some consultants on that and figure out how I can get something in here and what the timing is, et cetera, cost. So those are two related things. And then what's the other thing? So there were a few other things that I brought up with them. One of the things we discussed at the commission meeting was the compostable plastics. And I shared with them that, and actually I think the BERTEC conversation happened after the Sustainability Commission meeting, or maybe it didn't, I don't know. But anyway, BERTEC is not going to take those compostable plastics. Nobody really takes compostable plastics. Compostable plastics don't actually function in any way differently in the environment when they are littered than regular plastic. So I talked to them about that, and they were on board actually with just eliminating compostable plastics as an option. So I will revise the ordinance just slightly to clarify that those are not included as, so the non-plastic stuff is all non-plastic. And then what's the other thing? Oh, so this is a big one. So the question that Christy had about whether or not to require things as being recyclable or compostable. And that's something that was part of the subcommittee's original recommendation. And we didn't really quite go down that direction because of all the confusion about what is actually recyclable. So where we landed with that actually was that we could move towards all disposables being fiber-based compostable products as of January 1st of 2023. So that would give time for us to implement the at-home composting program through 1383 and give restaurants a little bit more time to move on and to comply with that. So yes, Lonnie, question.
So you're saying that you have found compostable utensils?
So I had a conversation with San Mateo County, and I asked them that question. I was like, so do you guys include utensils in that? And so they said yes. They do have compostable utensils that meet the ASTM requirement. And so that is one that I would like to look into a little bit more, because I do have some concerns about that. I want to
You'd
make
have to
sure.
send people to a certain brand.
What's that?
You'd have to send people to a certain brand.
Right. So this is what San Mateo has done is they have a resource for food vendors that has all of the products listed in there. And so we don't necessarily have to recreate that, but we could point people to that resource. And so that doesn't necessarily point them to a brand, but it does point them to a list of acceptable products. And I
Okay,
had kind of hoped to avoid that, but again, if we go down this road, I think the more resources we can provide for people to say, hey, here's an example list, or here's some things that we know are good.
so the only composting place in the Coachella Valley that will take compostable foodware is the one that we are currently using now, which I can show you a picture of one of the wood rows, and it's like 25% plastic.
Right. It's actually not. It's going to be the new Eden Hill facility that they're building. So that's where we had planned to send the combined material that would probably emanate from people's homes. So
the reason why there is no other compost facility in the Coachella Valley that will accept it is because it doesn't work. And they don't want to have poor quality compost, and so they don't accept it.
mhm.
Yeah, and it takes over 100 days. And
Right.
even
So
then-
right. So what I'm telling you is that we met with Burtech, and the facility that they are designing, they have told us that they will accept foodware that meets the ASTM standard. So my assumption is that either their process is designed to handle that, or in either a time fashion or through a processing fashion. So so I don't know the details, and I'm happy to get them on a phone call to describe that, but that's my understanding. So
I, for one, would appreciate having those details because I don't want to spend a lot of time and energy with developing my kitchen waste
mhm.
bucket and have it go to a place like the Coachella compost facility where nobody in the valley in their right mind that knows anything about gardening wants to even use that stuff, because it is filled not only with what you can see, but they're additives, which you can see if you go down there, in huge bags of bright gold material and other sorts of materials. So I don't know, do we have a responsibility to send Palm Springs green waste to a place that can actually make compost that you can use to create soil? I mean, what a thought, you know?
So we
They're
have
gonna
the
take our
obligation,
money, but they're not gonna make compost.
so we have the obligation to take it to a certified
Yes.
facility that
I would
processes
say
it.
yes, but I can see where that'd be debatable.
Mhm. So
Once it leaves our hands, out of sight, out of mind. I don't believe that.
okay. So I'm happy to invite Burtech to a future call, and they can chat with us about the process that they use and what they do with that material. I think most of it is agriculturally applied. And so, but they can tell us more details on that.
That'd be great.
So, and I mean, one of the joys of kind of seeing the community composting effort to fruition is that people could have an option, right? So if you've got food waste and you don't want to put it in that bin, and because you want it to go to a more productive use, then you could do that. So the other thing that they did mention to us was that if people keep it separate, so if you were to somehow separate your food waste from your green waste, they could actually separate that out when it gets to the facility and put it through a more productive process. So, so I do think that they're going to have different processes in place at that facility. So,
Really?
yeah.
That'd be good to find out about that.
Yep. So, okay. All right. Well, I will put that on the list of things for a future meeting. And let's see. I think was that. Let me see if there was anything else on the foodware front. I think that was about it. So so otherwise, it's just kind of mostly the stuff we talked about, some clarifications, and I think we'll bring it forward at the next. I think it'll probably come forward. Might come forward at the June 24th meeting. I don't know, and we'll go from there. So we could be pretty close to having that whole foodware ordinance finalized. So, all right.
Hey, Patrick, I have to go, but I did
Okay.
have a question that came up back to the community composting piece. You said that we still have time on the contract with PSDS. Do you know when is that due now?
So that is that is actually the next agenda item.
Yay.
So, so on the 1383 front, we have been working with PSDS on the revisions to the contract for the scope related to 1383, excuse me. And I think that we're close on the scope for 1383 changes. But there are other elements to the franchise agreement that we're trying to address through the process. And so actually that was one of my topics I talked about with our council members. But I think what we're going to try to do is move that forward in the next couple of months. So I'd really like to, my goal is to have something ready to go to council, I mean, before their August break, but if not before their August break, then by the September meeting. So, so that's my goal. So it certainly won't happen in the next few weeks or probably in the next month. So the other complicating factor to that is that Marcus Fuller, who's our assistant city manager now, has been the primary point person on the franchise agreement, is leaving. And so we're sort of in this scramble to figure out how we want to move forward with that conversation. So that's what we're doing. Okay. All right. Rob, did you have a question or no?
I did not.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that was a 1383 update. Other than the fact that the other thing that the state did just recently was they passed a bill or this that extends the period within which we must comply. So originally the compliance date was January 1st of 2022. It is still the compliance date. However, they have extended the time in which they will fine municipalities for not being in compliance to January 1st of 2023. So it gives people a little extra time because of COVID and delays because of COVID and equipment delays and that kind of thing to actually implement things. So we just have to continue to show that we're making progress and moving towards implementation. But I think we should be in good shape if we can finalize our franchise agreement by this fall and then get stuff ordered so that we have it in place sometime next year. So yeah, so that was the only thing. Okay. All right. And then on the other organics front, just in terms of the current compliance with organics requirements and recycling requirements, the city sent out letters to all non-compliant businesses, so businesses that were non-compliant for organics and for recycling, and sent them a letter that said that they had 60 days to comply. And we have gotten several phone calls since issuing that letter in the last couple of weeks. And people have been very receptive, actually, and wanting to do the right thing and wanting to get on board. And so the other thing I've observed is that there's been a lot of change of ownership of multifamily and some commercial properties. So a lot of people are calling and saying, hey, we just acquired this property last September. We don't know what this is, and that kind of thing. So that's been really good, actually, as a form of outreach. So, anyway, so I think that we're moving in the right direction on that, and hopefully we'll boost our compliance rates here into the summer, and hopefully get at least 100 folks on off the books of non-compliant. So I'm hopeful about that. So, and again, that is for multifamily residential as well as commercial businesses. So, all right.
We've gotten a few of those forms back.
Okay,
and I'll
good.
send a couple to you. But yes, there's the forms are coming in, so that's
Yeah.
good.
So I would say the biggest challenge that we've had so far has been with regard to people wanting to claim a space waiver. And really those space waivers are meant to be for really tiny restaurants like Tyler's, who has no space and who shares a bin with other people and that kind of thing, and who really doesn't have any room to expand. So like multifamily complexes that have parking places and lots of room in their existing bin areas, that kind of thing, that they're not getting an extension. So anyway, so that's been kind of good so far. So. All right, and then I don't have too much on the outreach front or the sustainability scholarship program front. We did have Billy, is it Billy Blue? Billy Blue.
Billy Blue's Cosmetics.
Yes, so he moved to more sustainable packaging. So we applaud him for his efforts. He really tried to find something that was, sustainable and really was better than the plastic stuff he was using before. So we applaud his efforts to do that. And that's been, I think, about it. Yeah, Roy.
What is his approach, packaging approach?
So he moved to instead of packaging stuff in plastic, he moved to a cardboard or like a paper-based shipping tube. It's almost like a tube that you fold the ends, and it's totally recyclable. You can put it in your recycling bin after you get it. You get your little product in there and you're done, as opposed to like the bubble wrapped plastic packaging and things like that. So yeah, so that was one of the things he did. I think he did he do a couple other things too, Tracy?
His big thing is mascara. So he was able to get the containers so that they fit perfectly around it, but large enough to ship. Right. And then he got some other packaging materials for when people buy more items that would exceed that size limit. Right. And it's all with the recyclable materials. And
I think it was recycled too, like
yes,
content. So yeah, so he did it was really thoughtful and involved a little bit of process re-engineering on his part. So that was great.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. All right, and that's all I have. I feel like it was a lot to dump on you, but so any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts about future agenda items? Yes, Lonnie.
I just wanted to mention, I don't know if you and Stacy talked about the continuation of the meeting we were having, and you had to, there was another meeting, I guess. And, but she went on and kind of talked more at length about the contract issue. And apparently it comes up all the time. There are people doing, events and just you name it in the parks. And they have no problem with coming up with any contract wording or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think the challenge that we were wanted to make sure that we avoided was to make the language so broad that you could kind of drive a truck through it and that somebody could come in and start a business without us really, you know, without authorization. So that's really what we were trying to avoid. Mhm. So, okay. Any other questions, comments? All right, we'll keep moving forward, and I will provide any additional updates at the Sustainability Commission meeting in a couple weeks. All right. All right, thanks, everybody.
Hey, thanks, everybody.
you.
Appreciate it.
Rob?
Good luck, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I heard what you were saying before I was able to come on, and I'm really sorry to hear it.